It's that time again. Time for more Patreon board. This is where I look at requests sent by my patrons. We'll be starting off with one by Arthur D. Gonzalez Martin, as he requests I do Porco Rosso. Hey, a Hayao Miyazaki movie this time. Let's talk about him. Co-founder of Studio Ghibli, which is more or less Japanese Pixar, but for anime, Miyazaki is well known for his tremendous storytelling and art direction with his various works. Now, of course, for me, I've only ever saw his movies, and even then I haven't seen all of his movies, this one included. It came after Kiki's Delivery Service, having been released in 1992. So I have no idea if this would be an improvement or whatever, especially since it would be followed by Princess Mononoke, which I remember being super good. So let's see what this apparent post-World War I story about a pig-faced man brings to us. This is Porco Rosso. After a brief text screen crawl that actually has an interesting story to it, we see our title character, aka Marco, voiced by Michael Keaton, lounging away when he gets a call about sky pirates attacking a ferry, and his response?
Call someone else.
We need your help! There's a bunch of vacationing schoolgirls on board!
It's going to be expensive.
And how old are you exactly, Mr. Piggy? So we see the sky pirates and...
Stop! Surrender immediately or we'll sink your ship!
Seriously? You give him that voice? It sounds like Tristan Taylor, like, really? I mean, it just sounds so out of place given the usual performances in the English dubs for Ghibli films. Also, these little girls must not really know what fear is if they don't care about being taken hostage. Come to think of it, why even take them hostage? Look what happens!
Hey, we're flying! I want to see
Get back inside!
Let's play!
What's going on down here? Sit down and shut up! Can't you control a bunch of kids? That's why I asked you if you were bringing them all out!
Speaking of performances, I almost feel like Keaton doesn't exactly fit his role very well. I mean, he kinda sounds like Shurishiro Moriyama in the Japanese version.
Oh, it's just one of the island tour boats.
島巡りの観光艇じゃねえか
Ladies, you gotta get out of here. It's dangerous and you might be kidnapped.
こんなところで遊んでると団体でさらわれちゃうぜ
But I think the latter does a better job at emoting while in the role, whereas Keaton keeps the same tone throughout the movie. In any case, he confronts the Mama Yuto gang, and of course, the kids show no concern, and I think two of them are about to go deaf from that gun going off in their ears.
This is a flying ship!
So after he completes screwing over the gang of buffoons, he saves the hostages while only taking half of the loot from these guys. Thus, he goes to treat himself at Hotel Adriano, where the other pirate gang leaders happen to be, as they plot against Marco, whilst this big-chinned fellow, Donald Curtis, voiced by Cary Elwes, eyes on the beautiful singer, Gina, voiced by Susan Egan.
Le temps des cerises, errer au Seigneur, aimer le moqueur, seront tous en fête. Les belles auront la
Beautiful.
Now's a good time to talk about the setting and how it relates to the story. See, while most of Miyazaki's films heavily rely on fantasy elements, this is one of the few times where it's definite what time period it is, what historical event it's based on, and is meant to be as close to the real world as possible, with the only thing that is actually fantasy related is Marco being a pig man. And they do explain why that is and how he ended up like this later, but it might not be as fulfilling as you'd hope. Also, this film was meant to be a short film for Japan Airlines, that was more like with its manga counterpart, Hikote Jidai, but became a feature-length film and ended up becoming more serious than the former, mainly due to the Yugoslav wars going on at the time, so that had an influence on what could have happened in this setting. As to why the film opens with that text crawl, well, they still kept the film as an in-flight movie for Japan Airlines before theatrical release, so of course anyone of any nationality can be treated to this. Anyway, Curtis gets his first look at his potential rival, and just the sort of relationship they all have with each other.
Is that thing outside yours?
Yep, it's a real demon. Fastest thing in the Mediterranean, and it makes me money.
Here you beat the Italians for the Schneider Cup 2 years in a row.
She's not just fast, she's great in a dogfight, too. You wouldn't happen to be the pig Porco Rosso I've been hearing so much about.
You'd better be careful about the company you keep. Sky fighters are about as sleazy as they come. If I were you, I'd watch my flank.
I'd play dirty, too.
You looking for a fight, pig?
What's going on? All you important people at one table. Are you boys planning something nasty again?
Us?
It sets up a good atmosphere that this bar can be made for high class, but also these drunken aviator pirates, who while I bet would go at each other, know when to just relax while inside a common gathering ground. In keeping to having a mostly stellar performance, Gina also sports a good personality, someone who's seen too many people close to her die, and it shows.
I can't believe it, but he asked me to marry him almost before he even said hello. I told him I've had my fill of pilots. I lost one to the war, one in the Atlantic, and the last one in Asia.
So you finally heard.
I got the message today. They found his plane wreck in Bengal. He's the third one. It would be nice to cry, but I don't have any tears left.
It makes it feel very noir-like. For a while there are still some lighthearted moments in traditional Ghibli fashion. With the setting the way it is, it allows for our lead characters to be more complex and allude to real-world problems for people like them. Especially for Marco later on, why he ended up like this and why he acts the way he does now. Going back to Curtis, he is joining up with other pirates in the Pirate Union for an operation. Now I love how much character these guys get through their banter, which also has them using light flashes to relay everything to each other.
Tell him to take the first dive, we'll cover him and come in right behind.
What do you mean? It is your turn to go in first.
Yeah, you're always ready to let someone else do the dirty work.
You're usually pretty quick to volunteer others for the tough stuff yourself, you know what I mean?
You mean he's the one that got me axed last time?
You're quit.
Shut up! Let's get this show.
Ladies and gentlemen, our ship is under attack by sky gangs. Do not panic, everything is under control. Queenship Lines has anticipated this contingency and provided us with an escort. We are now going to launch our 2 escort planes. The first plane is piloted by the great Lindbergh Earhart.
Is this just a common occurrence for ship cruises to get attacked enough to warrant that kind of reaction? At least these guys don't appear to actually kill the people they rob, but it's somewhat amusing that they treat their escorts like this. Well, we don't get to see how Curtis handles them. Instead, we learn that due to how bad Marco's plane is, he needs to take it in to see Piccolo. Guess that explains why he's able to dodge so well. Of course he learns about the attack, but he's got a vacation to go on. After a few, yet well-crafted aerial shots, Curtis is shown to be on his tail, just wanting to fight him.
Don't be a chicken pig! Fight me now!
Take your fight and stuff it. I'm on vacation. Whoops, lost my cover.
Keaton, you're usually better than this. I don't think you were cut out for the role when this is what they had. He gets shot down and Curtis ends up taking a piece of the plane to serve as proof he killed him. But turns out Marco is alive, but his plane is a wreck. He calls Gina to let her know that he's fine, but she isn't happy with how he's treating her. And I don't blame her. he continues his way to Milan to meet with Piccolo, and we also meet his granddaughter, Theo, who is acting as his assistant, as his sons are currently pursuing other opportunities due to the Great Depression.
Curtis, now that's a name brings back memories.
Oh, now we know Marco will do well in the end, if his engine is going to be a Ghibli one. When he finds out that Theo is the only one working on the plane, he considers leaving, but Theo asserts herself accordingly.
Are you leaving because I'm a woman, or because I'm too young?
They're both very good reasons.
All right, okay. But can you tell me what it takes to be a great pilot? Experience?
No, it's inspiration.
I'm glad you didn't say experience. My grandfather told me that from the start you flew like a bat out of hell. He also said it was like you were born with wings.
I started flying in 1910, when I was 17.
This also sets up a good dynamic relationship for the two, as they both have a deep understanding for aircraft design, and you can even tell Marco isn't too stubborn to let her try after all, since he sees that she's serious and can do very well. He even allows Piccolo to invite his immediate family, all women though, to help in the assembly of the plane. Now this is a good way to show that even back then, it wasn't just men who were the hard workers, but even the women had the dedication and craft to create constructs like this to help out in the war effort. We also learn that Marco isn't exactly that well liked in this country, as someone he knows meets him to let him know that if he sticks around too long, they will catch him. For what now?
You'll be arrested for being anti-government, disobedient, guilty of sneaking in and out of the country, guilty of being a decadent, lazy pig. They'll throw the book at you. Dummy, this is no laughing matter. Look, they say they're going to confiscate your ship as well.
This is really a terrible movie.
Marco, you go back to where you came from. Leave the problems to us. We can manage on our own here.
I'd much rather be a pig than a fascist.
Which is funny, considering that pigs are often depicted as fascist. And of course, the secret police are on his tail, so he's going to have to give them the slip and fly ASAP. And it looks like Theo is coming along because...
But I want to do well on my first job. I need to fly with you once and make final adjustments.
But we're going to fly from the back canal. We don't even know if we can take off and get away without trouble.
I've got to go with you. You'll need a good spotter and a ground man if you plan to fight with Curtis.
Well, that, and if they do get caught, she can say she was taken hostage, and she and everyone else were forced to build the plane. In any case, the plane is set, and they take off just as the police arrive.
How's the steering, Marco?
It's just as crazy as you are. It's even more difficult than it was before. There's no time for that. We have to lift off somehow. We're gonna make it. We're catching on the water. I can't get control.
I'm sorry. I just can't get over that Keaton's performance doesn't improve during these moments like this, where I expect a little bit more emotion to any yelling involved, and it just comes off as awkward sounding to me. The only real payoff to this is more of that pretty scenery. Back at the hotel, Curtis tries once again to get Gina to marry him, with the promise of him becoming a movie star. I should probably mention that when he first saw her, he asked this as well, meaning he's so arrogant that he thinks he can get anyone he wants. Really, just call him Gaston, because that's pretty much what he's becoming.
I like the fact that you're so naive.
You do?
But I can't join you. I'm waiting for something very different. I'm betting that maybe the next man who comes to visit me when I'm here alone in my garden will be the man I'm in love with. But the man comes only after it's dark, and he won't visit me here in my garden.
So she admits to loving Marco. But actually, where does this relationship come from? Besides them having friends, where did it all start? Well, as Marco makes his return, she reminisces back to when they were younger. and with no words to it, you can tell exactly what got her attention. The feeling of flight.
You mean you bet on that guy out there?
Is something wrong with that? In this country, life is a little more complicated than in yours. But you can like anybody, anytime you want, though.
After stopping to refuel, they returned to Marco's private island, where the pirates were all waiting for him from inside the tent. What is this, a pirate circus? Considering the song that keeps playing every time they show up, I wouldn't be surprised.
Hey! This one, she's a girl. He's got a girl with him.
She's a cutie.
So what? Half the world's population is female.
She just totally redesigned and rebuilt my ship. She's a top-class mechanic.
Do you mean that, Marco?
If there's one thing I don't do, is lie about my ship. You'd better treat her well. She came along with me to get her money back for the work.
There's justice after all. Destroy that stupid red ship.
You mean you're going to destroy the ship I made? You're going to destroy this magnificent ship with axes?
Lady, just stay out of this. You're asking for trouble.
Just destroy it?
Well,
how can you say you're the flying ship pilots?
I think I just found my favorite character in this movie. She more or less gives them a good talking to, since they used to be good pilots back then, and even says that Marco could win against Curtis, who just happens to be hearing everything from above. Like, how did he get up there?
Beautiful.
Will you give me your hand in marriage if I win?
Damn it, you really are Gaston! So now she wagers that if Marco wins, Curtis will pay the entire bill that Marco has for her company. Otherwise, she will marry Curtis. He accepts and they leave. For a moment, Marco is upset, but he lightens up since she admits her recklessness. As he preps for the big battle, Theo, for a moment, thinking she's seeing his true face, asks exactly how he became a pig.
We went on patrol over the Adriatic Ocean, heading toward Astoria. Belrini was flying next to me. He was an old friend of mine. He just got married 2 days before. I was a witness at his wedding. We didn't have enough vacation time and had to fly back to the battlefield right after the ceremony. The allies and enemies were falling like flies around me. I was chased after by 3 professional fighters. I was too busy to think of anything except staying alive. Before I knew it, I was the only one left. But they still didn't quit. I flew and I flew. My hands and legs got numb. I began to feel very dizzy. It was so quiet. The sky was really beautiful. There were strange clouds flying higher up, way up above me.
Belrini, are you okay? Belrini, wait! Where are you going?
So from what I gathered, he fled from battle and was on the borderline between life and death, and then through whatever divine act or whatever, he was transformed. Now, usually pigs are a commonplace for Miyazaki films, but it seems like a bit of a stretch to say he got turned into one for being like a cowardly pig or something. Again, it's the only fantasy element in this movie, yet it doesn't have quite enough of a reason to exist. It's definitely symbolic, given the setting and all, but it seems like the only weak element to the plot is that one character is a literal pig for reasons. Otherwise, his backstory is certainly haunting, and one might relate to a similar experience when on the brink of death. Seeing all those planes, it's like every pilot who's died will end up here and will fly the endless skies above forever, with only the clouds below them to guide you. Anyway, the day of the Sky Duel is here, and everyone is gathering around to see it. Why do I get the feeling something bad will come of this? I mean, if guns are involved, surely some collateral damage will happen.
This is a fight where there are no rules. But if the contestants cheat, they will be despised forever! Shut up or I'll kill you all, and I mean business!
Okay, who are these people who decided to come here at the risk of being killed by these ruffians? Who would stay after that? I do like the other stuff the Mama Yolto gang does, though.
Say cheese!
And the fight itself is cool.
Marco, what are you doing? Fly higher!
He better keep his head down or he's gonna get hit by a Shoot!
They're coming this way!
The tables have turned again!
Why did we come here again? Gina gets a message that the Italian Air Force is coming to get Marco, and she rushes off to warn him. Meanwhile, because both of them are unable to fire their weapons, they degrade to the level of children.
I'm not going to move! Ha! Scum coward!
That did it!
And you say it's for love?
Shut up, sausage face!
Go back to the cows.
That was sneaky!
Shut up!
All this for 2 women. Go figure. Well, in the end, Marco wins just after Gina arrives to affirm Curtis's confession that she does love Marco, and she gets everyone to leave before the Air Force arrives. Marco gives Theo to Gina to get her home while he and Curtis ward off the enemy. But before they do, Curtis notices something.
Oh, your face! Wait! Show me your face!
Your ship's over there.
Just a second!
And thus the movie winds down with an older Theo telling us the fates of everyone. But whether or not Marco ever united with Gina, well, who can say? So that's Porco Rosso, and yeah, it was pretty good. I'd have to rewatch the Ghibli films again to really get a feel of where I would place this in terms of best Ghibli movie, but otherwise, Miyazaki really did a wonder with this. It really is a peculiar story about a man cursed with his own guilt who lives life as a bounty hunter, going up against pilots who have lost their way after a major event, and it's an interesting piece on the kind of life people have during a time when opportunities weren't always plentiful. Like I said, while most of the performances are on par with the studio's other films, I feel like with Marco and a few others, their respective actors could have done a better job, or in one case, seem like a bad match altogether. Some of the named characters could stand to have more time, but as far as a drama film goes, they do well enough to build off each other and make us interested in them. The animation still holds well for the time and really brings life to the world even in the air. The score also has plenty of good usage and makes the otherwise silent scenes more enjoyable. Overall, while it's far from being my absolute favorite Miyazaki movie, I still had fun with it. If you haven't already, definitely check it out. I don't think you'll be disappointed. Next time we're going to order up some pizza. But from who though? You'll see. Till then, see you later.
時には昔の話をしようか通い